The climate clock is not a conventional type of clock. It is actually a countdown clock, which represents how much time we have left to not let our planet's temperature rise over 1.5 degrees Celsius. Of course, just thinking about the reduced time that we have, as you can see in the image, we only have 7 years, gets really overwhelming. And we sometimes tend to blame others and not try to make changes ourselves and in ourselves that there's no real change made. And the great news is that there are many ways to approach fighting climate change. One of those is by just looking into what we consume and in what quantity we consume those things. For example, beef. Beef is extremely bad for our planet. And actually, The Guardian stated in an article that if we got to reduce about 90% of our beef consumption, we would be able to make a huge impact in our carbon footprint and therefore fight global warming. Beef is an extremely important um, food in Mexico. First off, Mexico is the eighth producer of beef in the whole world, and also the meat consumption in Mexico is quite high because it ranges from 50 to 100 kilograms per person per year. And there's an extremely interesting factor here. Uh, most of the population, most of the population which consumes meat is actually the middle class population, and this was shown in a Cielo study. And therefore, we have a big responsibility because we are part of that middle class, and of course, we are part of the. I'm sorry, we're part of those consumers which consume so much beef, right? And if you look at this graph, we're making a lot of harm to our planet. This is a graph that compares how many kilograms of CO2 are produced by only one for only 1 kilogram of different products. As you can see, beef is until the right of the graph, and it is the highest one by far because it produces 60 kilograms of CO2 for only one. Imagine only 1 kilogram of beef. And this is due to two main reasons. The first one is the farming process. So the farming process is basically a normal biological process that cows have, in which basically cows, when they eat hard plants such as grass, have special microbes inside their stomachs that, of course, transform the those plants or that grass and releases methane. That methane is extremely terrible for our planet and our atmosphere. And even though it only represents 16% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, it is one of the worst ones. Actually, the global warming potential that methane has over 100 years is 21 times higher than carbon dioxide. Also, this process is called the enteric fermentation, and it is actually the biggest methane emitter of human-related activities with a whopping 28%. The land use change, of course, is also a big factor. Since the 1700s, there has been an increase of land use for agriculture, which subdivides in grazing and cropland. Grazing is, of course, the the space made and reserved for cows and for them to be able to feed themselves. And for doing this, we have to cut down trees, we have to cut down plants, which of course have CO2 stored in them. And when being cut, that CO2 gets released into the atmosphere. So, with these two reasons, you can see that beef is extremely bad for for our planet. And I really want to invite you to reduce your beef consumption. For really making a change, you have to make it by about 90%. So please take this into consideration and also take into consideration that we are in a crucial moment. All these graphs brought from many news sources like Vox and CNN are just part of our reality. You know, just do what your heart tells you and do it for humanity. Thank you.